we come from Aberdeen, and I particularly come from Grey School of Art, from Robert Gordon. Yeah, and we were interested in finding out how you create your tweeds. I'm a foreigner, okay, so
Where are you from?
I'm Italian, so as a visitor of Scotland,
Right.
I live in Scotland now, but I'm interested in all this arts and crafts. I'm from Sicily.
Sicily.
Yeah. You been there?
No, I've been to Sorrento.
All right. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
The tourist
Nice
place.
enough. Well, so is
Along
Sicily
the
in some
coast.
place. Otherwise, I'm an islander. Are you local?
Yes.
You from Lewis?
Yes.
Okay, so as an islander, we got some tourist part, but always
Hey.
there's a rural traditional part of it as well.
I'd love to go to Sicily.
It's beautiful, but it's very hot during the summer. So yeah, I suggest you. Yeah, if you wanna explain me what happens with the tweeds, why is it so precious as well? What makes it like?
Right. Let's get on.
Yeah, sure.
Right there, Harris Tweed.
Mhm.
Very famous product, well known all over the world, and it's been making it here for over 100 years, if not longer,
Okay.
and selling it abroad. Now, Harris Tweed has got its own trademark. This is it here.
Yeah.
Now, this is the orb and the cross. Now, I thought that was the Maltese cross, but I was told it was not. Do you know the Maltese cross?
We do know the Knights of Malta.
Aye. I think in the Maltese cross, there's these scallops in it here.
Uh huh.
Doesn't matter.
It might be like a branch,
Aye.
a derivation of it. It's derived from the Maltese cross because they must have.
Okay. That's the trademark of Harris Tweed.
Yeah, it's trademarked now.
It's,
Yeah.
this trademark is over 100 years old, so it's been around for a long time. Also, Harris Tweed is the only textile in the world that's got its own trademark.
Okay.
So, as far as I'm aware, it's the only textile in the world. Now, what the trademark tells you about the product, first of all, is hand woven. Hand woven.
Yeah.
Now, that's most unusual nowadays to get a hand woven product, especially the amount Harris Tweed is made in.
Yeah.
It's pure wool, and you can only call it Harris Tweed if it's made in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. That's the only place in the world you can make Harris Tweed.
Okay.
It's like things like Parma ham and champagne. It's restricted
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah. You can make imitation of it, but it's the real one has to be
thing
trademarked.
has to come from forever. Now, there are 3 tweed mills. They're all in Lewis, the mills. There's none in Harris at all. Very little Harris Tweed is made in Harris anymore. It was called Harris Tweed because that's where it started life
Okay.
a couple of 100 years ago in Harris. These
Okay.
are all made in Lewis now. It's all part of the same island.
Yeah.
Now, the mills, the wool has to come from the mainland UK because there's not enough wool here to keep the industry going.
Okay.
And that's been the case for a long time. Mainland wool.
Okay. So does it come from any particular area in the UK? Does it have to come from it, or just all nationwide?
Comes from mostly from the Chivierts. The Chivierts, down in the borders. There's a breed of sheep
Yeah.
called the Cheviot.
Okay.
And that's the wool that's used mostly. The wool comes from the mainland UK here, and once it comes to the mill, one of the first things they do with the mill with the wool is to dye the wool whatever colour they require.
Okay.
Now, the traditional colours of Harris Tweed are the colours of the landscape.
So green.
Green, blue and grey.
Okay.
Brown, purple at the head end. The kind of colours of the flowers as well.
Okay.
You know, reds and yellows.
Do you use natural dyes for it, or?
In the olden days they would use natural dyes, you know, the crottles and the lichens and plants and flowers.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's all artificial dyes, chemical dyes. But it's
Mhm.
still the landscape colours, but artificial dyes. Now they'll dye the wool and then they'll spin it into yarn. All that's done in the tweed mills. And they produce tubes like that in the mill. Okay? Now they're not allowed to weave at all in the mill. The weaving has to be done at the weavers' homes.
Okay.
The reason for that is Harris Tweed started life as a cottage industry. And they want to preserve as much of the history of it as possible. So the trademark insists that it's done at the weaver's homes. Now, I'll buy yarn like that from the mill to make my own tweeds. I'm an independent weaver, so I make my own tweeds. Now, once I get my yarn like that in these tubes, I'll make my own warp, W-A-R-P. The warp are the threads that are lengthways in the tweed, that's your warp. The ones that go from side to side are called weft. Warp and weft. Okay?
So that's the technique. See. Okay.
Now, I make what you call single width Harris tweeds, 75 centimeter wide. They used to be made. I'll tell you about the other kind in a minute. Now, the way I make my own warp is I'll set out 24 tubes of yarn here, 24 tubes, and I'll use this wooden frame. And I'll start at the very top and go round all the pegs with 24 threads right down to about there. And then I'll go back and round them all with 24 threads. And I'll keep doing that until I get a total of 696 threads or mistakes. 696 threads. That'll give me a tweed that's 75 centimeters wide, like this one here. Now that amount of warp from there down to about there gives me a tweed that's about 60 meters long. 60 meters long. Okay? Now once I get all that warp on the stakes, I'll pull it off at the top here. And as I pull it off, I'll make it into a chain like this. This is a chain of warp now.
Wow.
Short chain. And that's your 696 threads
Yeah.
in there. So that's your warp all ready now to go into a tweed. Now this, you also have to prepare your weft as well.
Yeah.
This machine here is what we call a weft wind.
Yeah.
A weft wind. It's got 6 spindles on it and a little electric motor.
Nowadays, this is still like the only machines that you make the tweeds with. That's the traditional and most contemporary machine.
Yes.
You don't use anything like any more modern machinery or
Yes,
anything.
yes.
Okay.
Not I don't. There is. I'll tell
Yeah.
you about that in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Now this is what we call a weft winder. Now it's got 6 spindles on it
Mhm.
and a little electric motor. And from the big tubes down here it makes the bobbins.
Okay.
It's got to be reduced from that size to that size to fit into your shuttle,
Alright. Okay.
which you use when you're weaving. Now, there's one of them set up at the end here, so I'll just switch it on. That's it filling up. Okay, once it's filling up, it's been gently lifted up onto the side, and when it's full like this, it'll fall off. And you just take it off and you slip on another one. Normally you have all 6 going at the same time, and when you do, you can fill a bucket full of bobbins
Okay.
in about half an hour. Now this particular machine is about 60 years old, and there isn't, for single width weaving, there's nothing more modern than this. This is sort of loom we use over there for single width weaving.
Mhm.
That's for the weaving. This is for the so that's your warp, and there is what's in there. So we'll take that and put it to the other loom now and show you. If you like to go right round to the other side, right
Yeah.
round to the chair, and just go right round on your go. Okay, now these looms now they started to make these looms in the early 1920s, about 90 years ago. They started to make these looms. Loom that you see in a minute has got an automatic flying shuttle. But prior to the Hattersley loom, before the 1920s, Harris Tweed would be made in one of these wooden looms you see on the picture up on the wall. That's how they made Harris Tweed in the olden days, over 100 years ago. Anyway, for 70 years, from the early 1920s to the early 1990s, all Harris Tweed was made on a Hattersley loom like this. All Harris Tweed was made in a Hattersley loom. Producing a tweed that, as I said, is 75 centimeters happened in the early 1990s was they moved on to double width tweeds.
Okay.
Bigger looms were made, newer looms, made a tweed that went from 75 up to 150 centimetre wide. Still hand woven, it's exactly the same product, just twice as wide. Because that's what the commercial buyers prefer now. They prefer to have the wider tweed. But this is, nowadays I reckon at least 95% of Harris tweed is made on the double width looms. There's still a niche market for single width tweeds though, for bespoke tailoring, for hand tailoring, and also for crafts. And that's the market I cater for. Okay, so that's a brief history of the loom situation, as far as Harris tweed is concerned. Now you're going to start a new tweed. I'm more than halfway through this one, which is 60 metres long. I'll finish it on Saturday, all being well. Now this is the finished tweed going on to the roller now. Okay. Now when I finish it, what you do is you cut it across here with scissors. I take it off the roller and I fold it and I put it to one side. Now I always leave the last half metre of warp from there when I cut it to there where the warp ends. I leave that in the loom at this moment of time. Chain of warp I showed you out there. Take it round to the back, where I'll unravel the chain. Then I'll take my warp from that pole up there and then go around here. And that spreader with all the spikes over there. Stick a handle on that drum there and get somebody to turn the handle and wind it all on. Okay. When I've got the new warp on the drum, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the new warp, the piece of old warp that's still in the loom from the previous tree. When I say tie, that means I'll start from the very edge here, one thread at a time, new warp to old warp, in the right order, all the way individually not to each thread until you come to the other side. Now, once once I've tied the one to the other, then I'll pull it all through. And then I'll start weaving.
Thank you.
Just show you the weaving.
Now that I know all this, that justifies me the price, the market price of it. Oh, there's a lot of work behind it.
Okay, right, wash yourself, sir.
Yeah?
But I need to go and help.
Yeah, of course.
You can have a look at the tweed scene.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have a look at